Okay, hi everybody. This is Carolina Salguero from PortSide, New York, on the Mary Whalen in the galley of the tanker. And I'm here to give you an update about what we're doing at PortSide, what we could possibly offer you in terms of programming now that we're in this operate remote period due to the coronavirus. And then also I have some ideas to offer PortSide. We experienced extreme social isolation for the better part of 9 years while the ship was locked up in the container port. And we learned a lot about how to tackle that over the time. And so I've got some ideas to share with you. So just to let you know, I'm here with my new moral support bunnies right here. And there's Chicklet sleeping with the penguins. They're in her bed in the background. Okay, so to get down to things here. So in terms of what we're doing here at PortSide, first off, the ship is closed completely to the public and to our staff and interns right now. That's the practice at multiple museums. But I'm also going to ask some of our regulars and people in the neighborhood who were used to coming on the boat, even if they saw the foreclosed sign, please not to come up there. I happen to have a compromised immune system thanks to my time working at Ground Zero as a photojournalist and then Lyme disease. So I'm really practicing the social distancing. So please don't come up. I'm happy to talk to people from the boat. Give a call if you want to, if you're in the neighborhood. In terms of our school programming, while on Sunday night, while the mayor was giving his press conference saying the schools were closed, I immediately emailed PS 676, who we work with so closely, to say that PortSide is willing to work on doing digital programming with the school. We haven't heard back yet about, let me move, I realize there's porthole lights blasting probably at you here. Does that help? No. We offered to work with the school, and we're standing by to hear if they want us to do something or what ideas they may possibly have. We're also working over the term with the Columbia University graduate school program. It's actually in historic preservation, but they're working on resiliency issues. So they have right now in real time an opportunity to look at Red Hook resiliency, and I'm hoping that this project will help the neighborhood become more resilient. And their version of historic preservation is not so much the protecting of old special buildings, though that's an important thing to do. It's kind of cultural resiliency and about the people and traditions and that kind of living history. So I have a call later on this afternoon with their professor. I'm also working with elected officials, Carlos Menchaca, in particular our councilmen and community groups to help Red Hook cope with this coronavirus situation. We at PortSide did a lot of work during related to Hurricane Sandy in terms of neighborhood preparedness. No, not preparedness, actually, at the time. Subsequently became preparedness, but Sandy recovery, then later resiliency planning. So in terms of some programming, before I get into the tips about how to survive social isolation, for all the students at PS 676, we miss you, thinking of you, want to ask you what you would like to see. I know the school and the Department of Education is working on things. We could give you video visits to the ship, do some book reading. You could have a virtual visit with Chicklet, the cat. We could play string with Chicklet when she's up. She's very good at string. And also Kitty Wand. So let me know. And in terms of the adult audience out there, similar kind of question. We have a virtual museum. One of the reasons why we developed a virtual museum, Red Hook Water Stories, that's at redhookwaterstories, plural.org, is because we didn't have building space to make a physical museum. We'd like to. And also our ship was inaccessible for those 9 years locked up in the container port. So, you can read that now, but our historian and curator, Peter Rothenberg, is willing to do some historian talks about the content in there, how we found the content. A Red Hook Water Stories advisor, Ayman Daigle, has information in a lot of different areas that he contributed, ethnobotany, buried waterways of Brooklyn. He's willing to give talks, virtual talks that way. We could also do some tours of the ship, virtual tour of the ship. I haven't reached out to another consultant on Red Hook Water Stories, David Levine, who did an amazing job hacking the software Omega, and the whole product development story is pretty interesting for those people who are into that kind of tech subject. So those are some ideas right there. In terms of what I said was the advice about what we learned in social isolation, so without getting really into the details now as to why we spent the better part of 9 years locked up, in short, we were offered a home location actually by multiple parties, and they didn't deliver, and I got the ship anyway, and the ship was, thanks to the operators, 2 different operators of the Reddit container terminal, locked up in there. And so we would get permits to get out to do programs now and again, but it was a lot of time, very isolated. The ship wasn't even seen. You couldn't even see the ship from the street most of the time. The ship was 6 blocks from the port gate, and we were even distant from a lot of port workers. We were on the very northern end of a pier, effectively almost 3 blocks away from where the real activity was, and really saw very few people. So that was the better part of 9 years. So here's what I learned in that time to share with you. The importance of team spirit. And so one of the things that was really sustaining was the crew and the main people. We had volunteers and interns coming and going. But the main people then were John Weaver, Dan Goncharoff, Peter Rothenberg, and I. We developed a real sense of humor and sort of moral support. It was a gallows humor. There was a lot of difficulty. We developed our own private language and sort of slang, and there was a lot of laughing. I mean, it was very tough, honestly, often, and different than now. I want to say to everyone, you're isolated now at home or wherever you're living, but everyone else is doing it too. So you actually have fellow travelers, other people going through this, where in our particular story, we were really alone. And trying to find ways to realize that you're not alone and connect with people will help too. But the team spirit, you know, if you're living alone, well, that's one thing. But if you have family, partner, kids, roommates, that kind of bonding really helps. The other thing that was hugely sustaining for us was the belief in what we were doing. We felt, and we still do, that we had a very good vision and a mission, and that, just the belief in what we're doing sustained us in times of difficulty. And if you can find a personal equivalent to that, that's sort of self-validating, why you're doing what you're doing, why is your family important to you, your pet, your whatever. And this is related to something that I used particularly when things were really, really tough, which was to affirm the day. And at the end of the day, to just affirm what was good about that day. And I will confess, there were some times that was really, really hard. I couldn't believe that we didn't have a home, that the real estate, I'm trying to get rid of the porthole glare for you people. Sorry about that. So you get a view of the pots and pans. And there's a phone call, which I will now decline. And so by affirming the day, that meant at the very end of the day, like if I was just, getting into bed, it's like, what was good about the day? And on really dark days, I didn't have very much at the start. I would be like, Chiclet's a great cat. I think we all understand that our ship cat Chiclet's a great cat. Then I might think, my lunch sandwich, that tuna sandwich was a good one. I mean, I really had to prime the pump sometimes to find things. And really, that was a reflection of just my spirits getting down. Things are, even when it's really bad, there are a lot of good things. And that's what to remind yourself of. And the other thing that I learned, and I can feel my throat choking up, was the power of compliments. Because in our extreme isolation, we felt unseen often, and we really kind of weren't literally seen, and we weren't seen sort of kind of conceptually. And so when a compliment would come through in sort of whatever way, it was like a precious jewel. It was so great at affirming the day and making things better. I came to realize how important those things were. And so I then also, as a person, started giving those out into the world, which means people I don't even know on the street, it's like, cute baby, nice dog, great shoes, like your hat, great coat, whatever. Thanking people at cash registers and everything else. And it's just a little gesture like that. It really brightens people's spirits. You can see that. It always made me feel good too. And then obviously there are compliments about more substantial things if you know the person and their work or their life or their story. But just putting out the positive, even if it's little things, it helps everybody and the spirits rise. And so that's what I have to offer for now. So carry on, everyone.